Hello, my name is Troy Winkleman, and if you're watching this video, this, for lack of a better term, is a eulogy in memory of the University of Wisconsin-Washington County, also known as UWM at Washington County. This is being filmed on campus during one of the last of its days open before it closes to the general public on May 28th, 2024, and then officially closes its doors on June 30th, 2024. In 1968, UW-Washington County was founded in West Bend. Many of the two-year colleges in Wisconsin were founded in the mid to late 60s, but some were founded as early as the 1930s. Fast forwarding to 2006, that is when I attended UW-WC for the very first time. Tuition at that time was extremely affordable. Personally, I was able to work both my summer and winter breaks at a factory full-time, and I had enough money to pay for both my fall and spring semesters in cash out of pocket, and still had enough money to pay for a study abroad trip out of pocket while taking out zero debt. Amongst this, too, the campus had a wealth of activities, collegiate sports, student government, thriving theater production, and a wonderful presence in the community. Class sizes were very small. My largest class was 38 students. We knew our professors, our coaches, and our staff, and we knew them on not only a first name basis, but we knew their passions outside the classroom as well. And most of all, the campus ran on a very healthy profit, even with an enrollment that roughly hovered anywhere between about 900 and 1,000 students per year. The transition from high school to a four-year campus was cheaper and easier with the two-year college as a stepping stone, and students were able to participate in the guaranteed transfer program, which was the highlight of the two-year college system. Through this, students were guaranteed the ability to transfer to any UW school of their choice if they had a 2.0 GPA after 4 semesters. Any campus that they wanted to, they were guaranteed the approval to transfer. This was later changed to a 3.0, but that only applied to transfers to UW and Madison, but still was just a remarkable benefit to any student, and it was the highlight of the two-year college system. In 2009, the UW-Washington County campus opened up the third floor to fund a new engineering program where students could earn a 4-year degree from UW-Platteville in engineering, all from the UW-Washington County campus. They actually never had to leave campus in order to make this happen. In 2011, that's when Act 10 took place. Along with the end of tenure in academics, it also meant severe budget cuts to higher education. Later on in 2014, Ray Cross took over as the UW system president, succeeding Kevin Riley. Cross had stated after his appointment, quote, "Historically, there has been somewhat of an adversarial relationship between the legislature and the university system. I would like to change that," end quote. In 2015, at the beginning of the year, there were very severe cuts. Chancellor Andrew Levet at UW-Oshkosh quoted the Student Senate by saying, quote, "We could cut our entire College of Business and still not meet these cuts. We could cut our entire College of Education and still not meet these cuts," end quote. Thankfully, not all of these cuts were passed, but shortly after that, and after still pretty severe cuts, there was a bill passed that forced campuses to run their reserve budgets down to exactly $0. The UW system experienced significant layoffs soon after that. And if anybody has ever been in business before, running down your emergency funds or reserves to $0 is generally a death sentence. In 2016, there was a vote of no confidence passed in Ray Cross from the UW Faculty Senate. They stated, quote, "The erosion of active shared governance in conjunction with budget cuts diminishes access and affordability and educational resources for our students." In 2018, a pivotal event happened. Cross ordered the reorganization of the UW system. At UW-Washington County, they were rebranded and renamed the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee at Washington County. The dean, Stephen Schmidt, dean of the College of Letters and Science at UWM, stated, quote, "What we know is that Milwaukee has great cachet in the community." He further commented, "We will be strengthening partnerships and community outreach throughout our region." And at the time in 2018, 744 students attended the university. Still not a massive drop from their norm. In 2019, the University of Wisconsin-Platteville stopped facilitating the engineering program, citing that UW-Milwaukee now funded the West Bend campus in Washington County. In essence, why would Platteville continue to allocate resources, faculty, and whatnot to something that UW-Milwaukee was making money off of? Later this same year, Ray Cross announced that he would be resigning from his position. At this point, the UW system was running about an $18 million deficit and could not afford a major catastrophe. Unfortunately, the world had a major catastrophe in 2020 with COVID-19. Prior to COVID, the two-year college's athletic programs were officially, quote-unquote, sunsetted, meaning that they would cease operations. In 2023, last year, there was a proposal to merge the University of Wisconsin, UW-Milwaukee at Washington County with Moraine Park Technical College in West Bend. That proposal stalled. In 2023, 332 students attended the university. The new UW system president, Jay Rothman, said, quote, "I think that's the market telling us that the mission the two-year branch campuses offered is just not as attractive to prospective students as it once was," end quote. He further elaborated to News WTMJ, we have to react to market forces. And right now, the market says that what we are offering just isn't what students are looking for, end quote. In 2023, it was also announced that the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee at Washington County would shutter after the spring 2024 year. The county, who owns the building as well as the land, has nobody planned to take over this building or the 80 acres of land that it sits on. And while they can apply for a $2 million grant to renovate the building, that $2 million doesn't come close to the total cost of renovating the building, nor does it come close to replacing the economic impact lost to the university being closed. To many, especially those who were commenting publicly on the situation, the cause was cut and dry. It was declining enrollment, changes in demographics, and COVID that doomed the two-year campuses, but it goes much deeper than that. Much like what Dean Schmidt had said earlier, the arguably unnecessary rebranding of the campuses, i.e. the renaming of University of Wisconsin-Washington County to UWM at Washington County, required a community outreach in order to make sure the transition was effective. According to one of the senior-most professors at UWWC, quote, "The managerial incompetence at UWM screwed up the entire community outreach the first year or so after the organization." He further elaborated, UWM only started caring when a City of West Bend council member considered giving the space to Moraine Park Technical College, end quote. And for those who don't believe that it was necessary for community outreach during this portion, let me elaborate. Number one, Milwaukee did not have great cachet in Washington County. While the university had a good amount of alumni that lived in the area here, people who live in the suburbs of Wisconsin don't always like the idea of going into the city or living in a city. And while that's not always, there's not always a pinpointed reason as to why, it's still something that goes through their head. And while I acknowledge that this is in part speculation, I also grew up in this part of the state and very frequently heard and still hear these remarks. And all of this is a concern as it relates to the university and their marketability because, two, The name change to the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee at Washington County would likely make someone think that they're obligated to transfer to UWM once their 2 years at the university is up. So unless I as a consumer, I as a student am told otherwise through community outreach, or I know for sure that I want to go to UWM, that's not going to happen. It's highly unlikely because one of the major reasons why people attend a 2-year college is because they don't know what they want to do. Enrollment declines within the last 6 years have been prevalent across the UW system, but somehow they were much, much more severe across the 2-year colleges post reorganization. And it's easy to see why. Just like with any product or service in any sort of market, if there's confusion in the market over your product or service, if there's unanswered questions, consumers are much, much less likely to spend thousands of dollars on something that they're unsure about. And at the end of this is not a case of the market has spoken. It was a case of a rebrand that was arguably completely unnecessary, and a campus that did nothing to inform their communities about what, if anything, had changed post rebrand, i.e., changes in tuition costs. Would the guaranteed transfer program change? Would students be forced to transfer to UWM without losing credits, etc.? Furthermore, a complete ransack of the UW 2-year college budget ended up leading to the restructure. One where campuses with $0 of reserve cash had to take on the budgets of a floundering 2-year college system who also had $0 in reserve cash, and were told to make it work or make tough choices. This is also why the University of Wisconsin-Waukesha, one of the other larger campuses in the UW system, is also being forced to close its doors in 2025. In 2024, UW Marinette, UW Fond du Lac, and UW Washington County are closing their doors. And just last year, UW Richland Center already had been forced to shutter in 2023. Now, I'd like to believe that this wasn't intentional, but we have incredibly intelligent folks running the universities of Wisconsin, as well as the state of Wisconsin. And very few parts of this seem to have happened by mistake. The 2-year colleges were frequently called the best kept secret in the UW system, and the regents seemed pretty keen to keep it a secret by not allowing community outreach to take place, along with the parent campuses. Moreover and more poignantly, our elected representatives seem to reduce a very profitable system into a financial wasteland in a span of 8 years. This is to our elected Wisconsin state representatives since 2011. You were elected to protect your communities and opportunities for your constituents, and you failed us. This is a prime example of the phrase that elections have consequences. And unfortunately, we're bearing the brunt of these consequences. And finally, to Ray Cross, I would like to believe that you had the best of intentions with 2-year colleges, but I really firmly believe that your restructuring and more specifically, the unnecessary rebranding led to the demise of the 2-year college system. That all having been said, I'm not really sure anything that you could have done would have saved the 2-year college system after their budgets got completely massacred and their reserves were bled dry. To the representatives who put these wheels in motion and passed all these bills, how ironic it is that those same representatives who gutted these budgets with all these bills are the same representatives who keep preaching for education to have a more affordable and more disciplined budget. While intentionally or possibly unintentionally, you all slaughtered the most accessible and affordable option that Wisconsin had to offer. The very educational systems that ran on shoestring budgets, that ran at an efficient pace and were disciplined with their money, and you slaughtered them. It absolutely is just baffling. So while I appreciate that people can look to demographics, declining enrollment, and COVID as the reason why these campuses are shuttering, I respectfully disagree. These gears were in motion years ago. And at the end of all of this, none of the representatives, none of the regents, none of the administrators, none of them suffer. They get to return to their big houses, their big mansions. They keep cashing their checks and going about their lives. And those of us have to go back to our modest homes and our apartments and confront the consequences of these people's decisions head on in our communities. In the end, so many people suffer when two-year colleges are closed. Non-traditional students, students with disabilities, students who didn't get the best grades in high school but still want a shot at their dream school suffer. Students who need to stay closer to home suffer. People who want to make career changes in the middle of their life suffer. Accessibility and affordability in general in education suffer. And our local communities and our local economies suffer too. The Wisconsin education system is very unique across the country in that it was founded based on the Wisconsin idea, which was the notion that education should influence people's lives outside of the classroom. This coupled with student government is student governance, is the idea that schooling should be accessible and affordable, and that students should have a say in their education. These reasons are the reasons why Wisconsin education is so unique and why campuses not only existed but thrived the majority of their lives. Now, unfortunately, these concepts are on life support, and I would imagine that both Charles Van Nuys and Fighting Bob LaFollette are both rolling in their graves. This largely feels like leaving a loved one with a caretaker, a loved one who had cared for you and helped you achieve so much in life, only to discover that that loved one's caretaker starved them and left them to die covered in bed sores and in a pool of their own urine and their own feces. So many are holding events at UWWC or in honor of UW Washington County, and it's mainly because we like to ensure that our campus dies with the dignity that it deserved to have. It's important to myself, as well as other alumni, faculty, and staff, that history remembers this once great institution and that the events that led to its demise are documented. This was I believe that this was a malicious plot that was executed to perfection, and it needs to be recognized so our campus's fate doesn't become the fate of others. So for right now, rest in peace. Rest in peace to the University of Wisconsin-Washington County, but also rest in peace to UW Richland Center, UW Fond du Lac, UW Marinette, and soon to be UW Waukesha. It is an absolute crying shame that you aren't able to positively impact anyone's lives anymore. These campuses are survived by the only 8 remaining two-year campuses: UW Marathon County in Wausau, UW Marshfield, UW Baraboo, UW Rock County in Janesville, UW Barron County in Rice Lake, UW Sheboygan, UW Manitowoc, and UW Fox Valley in Appleton. To those institutions, Godspeed. Hopefully you can all come out on the other side of this and be able to thrive. I can't speak for the campuses, but I know that the mission at UW Washington County was posted in their main lecture hall. And it read, "Our mission is preparing students for lifelong success and enriching our community." Speaking from my own personal experience, I came to UW Washington County as a very unconfident 18-year-old kid who didn't earn the best grades in high school. I left this campus as a Dean's List student, a student government president, a 3-sport collegiate athlete, and an experienced leader that was not only ready for the 4-year colleges, but also the real world. I was also able to gain experience and network with students on other campuses, many of which I mentioned before, to introduce state legislation that benefited college students across Wisconsin. Now I'm able to help my community. I enjoy a successful career. I run a thriving business. I enjoy a rewarding relationship, and I also enjoy fatherhood. And that was due in a huge part to this campus, its benefits, and overall what it provided me, and what the Wisconsin two-year colleges provided. I would have been completely lost going straight from high school to a four-year campus, and that's a sentiment that's echoed throughout many of my fellow alumnus. The University of Wisconsin Washington County genuinely changed my life. So if the goal was to prepare students for lifelong success and to enrich our community, I believe it's clear that this university did just that. To UW Washington County, rest easy. May your memories live on, and may history remember you fondly. Thank you so much to your former alumni, former staff, and amazing former faculty, the faculty who embodied everything that the Wisconsin idea stood for. I'd really like to name several of the now former faculty and staff that really made this university truly special. I'm very sorry if I forget to mention anybody, starting by mentioning the deans that I worked with, Dean Paul Price as well as Dean David Nixon, and other faculty and staff in no particular order, Debbie Butchlick, Martha Nelson, Dan Ackley, Sue Baroche, Mark Peterson, Mark Harrow, Peter Jabot, Wayne Schaefer, Mohammed Ayub, Brad Ford, Tate Sabot, Pat Roby, Ro Cahill, Peg Mudrock, Mike Maddock, Toye Ekansunmi, John Degnitz, Lori Doss, Kevin Francis, Courtney O'Connell, Scott Poole, Tom Keller, Russ Thull, Jim Miller, Roger Peterson, Jason Stasinopoulos, Gary Britton, and Tom Brigham. Thank you all so much. The value that you gave me was far greater than any amount on any tuition check that I ever wrote. I'm so grateful to have spent time at UW Washington County and also to be able to spend time here during its final days. I will forever be and forever live as a proud Wildcat. Thank you all so much.